Good afternoon, how are you? My name is Shelly Boss-Barbaree and I'm a stylist behind the chair just like you. It's been going on for like 25 years now. I'm 25, just so you know. Alright, and today we're going to talk about something that's older than me, but it is so trending on Pinterest. Red carpets, runways, proms, weddings, it's everywhere, and that's braids. Yeah, I mean, honestly, braids can be documented back to like 350 BC, if you will, but we also know that 5,000 years ago in Africa, they were already doing braids. So this is something that's never going away. Might as well just stick it right there beside the bob. You know what I'm saying? Because it is a classic. Now, one of the things we want to do as stylists is always be ahead of the game. Always be ahead of what our guests are doing at home and give them something they can't get on their own. Today, we're going to be playing with 3 different types of braiding techniques. A couple you may be familiar with, and then some of you may never have seen them before. And you know what? It's okay, because we can put these in all different types of forms and shapes and create many different looks and textures. All right, so today is about braids, and just to keep it simple, we're going to have a sectioning for our 3 braids, and what it's going to be is a triangle section starting on the outside corner of the left eye, back to the right corner back on the top, and then also coming up from the outside corner of the right eye back as well. So you can see your triangle section, and it's like, can you see it good? There you go. It's kind of off center, all right? And that's the top, and everything else is just put back in a ponytail. Now listen, I've already done the ponytail. We could spend like 4 hours perfecting the perfect ponytail, but for time's sake today, it's all about braids. All right, so we're going to be starting with our first braid, which is going to be in the ponytail section. And that's going to be what we call a 4-strand rope braid. All right, a 4-strand rope braid, and it really gives you a nice, sorry about this, a nice 3-dimensional tone. All right, so how does it work? Well, the first thing you know is we're going to be working with 4 sections. So how many sections? 4 sections. And the next thing that you need to know is this. Just say it. Under 2 over 1. Under 2 over 1. Under 2 over 1. So if you can remember that, it'll be much easier to do this. So under 2 and over 1. Oh me! My little flip chart stand is flying off. There we go. Okay, so let's do it. All right, so we're going to divide it into 4 strands. 4 strands. Let's get where you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 strands. Starting on the right hand side. We are going through the 2, underneath the 2 middle strands. That's our under 2, and then back on top of the last strand, over 1. Now, it becomes easier to hold that middle section. We're coming from the left side now, under those 2 in the middle, over the last one we went under, switching to the right hand side, under 2, over 1. Wait for it. We're on the left hand side, under 2 and over 1. And we just continue down the strand. And I can promise you this is something that your clients have not accomplished on their own yet. We're just working from left to right, under 2 and over 1. And once you get middle way down, all right, it just kind of becomes easy. It's just the start off. when we're talking about braiding and where to use them, or any formal styling, long hair styling for that case, you really have to look at the tone that you're working with. Is it dark or is it light? Because when you're working with light hair tone, you get a lot of light reflection and you notice all the details. All of them show up, all the texture. But when you're working on dark hair, you only see the silhouette. Now, what's cool about braids, because you notice we are doing this on dark hair, is the braids will create a different light reflection, and especially being 3D, this is a great technique to use on dark hair because it shows up slightly. So let's just take a look at this really quickly, okay? And you know, even though it's dark, you can tell that it has a different feel to it, like a rope. See? Fun, right? Now you can do a lot with that. You can rouge it up, pull it out. We'll get into that later. But let's just recap really quickly this 4-strand braid. Okay? And if you have a second after it's over to come up and take a picture, I do have like it done with yarn up at the top. Okay, so we start 4 sections. How many? 4 sections. Don't be overwhelmed because it's easy. How's it easy? Under 2 from the right hand side over the last. Then we start with the left hand side. Under 2 over 1. And that gives us this gorgeous braid. All right? So add that to your toolbox and let's move forward to the top. How many of you have heard of French lacing? Anytime, I tell you, I'm really having some challenges with my flip chart. Okay, anytime that you have lacing in with a braid, it's talking about picking hair up on different sides, okay? So know that first. French lacing is a great way to create texture, which is why we're doing it on the top. Now, you've got to visually see this, so I want you to watch me first, and then I'll say it, and I want you to close your eyes and envision it, all right? So the first thing I want you to think about is French lacing. We're going to divide our strand of hair into 2 sections. How many? That's right, 2 sections, okay? So we're dividing it into 2 sections, just like so. All right, so 2 sections. You're gonna make a gun. All right, there's my gun, okay? So when we pull from the top, it always goes in the top of the gun, and the bottom is always in the bottom, and we switch hands, all right? Back and forth. All right, so let me show you what that looks like. First, let's just talk about this again really quickly. We have 2 sections. Nice. All right, now let's see what that looks like. So, 2 sections. We're going to take a small piece of hair, just like you were starting like a French braid. Okay, so just a small section, divide it into 2. Watch this. Can you see good? All right, this is really fun. So, the left side's going to go in the top of my gun, on top of the barrel, and the left side's going to go underneath. Got it? We're going to pull from the right side, and we're going to place that hair that we just pulled on top of our gun. Yes? Take the right hand, grab the bottom, put it on the top of the gun on the left side, or the right side, sorry, and the bottom, or the top, put it on the bottom. Grab from the left side and put it on the top. All right, so now we've grabbed, we've got it on the top. What happens next? Take the bottom, make it your top. See it? Good job. All right, and make the top the bottom. Now we're pulling from the right side. When we pull here, where do we feed? Always to the top. Good job. Take the bottom, put it in the other hand to the top. Take the top and put it in the bottom. Grab hair. Where do we grab hair? It always goes to the top. And then here we go again. Other side. We've switched hands. We're feeding to the top. We make the top the bottom and the bottom of the top, feeding along. Just like so. All right, it doesn't look like a lot now, but that's okay, because if I show you what we can do with this braid, I'm trying to get that lighter. When we push it up and out, we're gonna get a nice little pompadour for the top of her hair. Now we're in 2 sections, okay? Now we're going into just a regular fishtail braid. But before we do, I'm gonna lay that there. And we're going to say, just so we don't lose what we just learned, all right? We're always going to feed to the top. And then we're going to switch the top to the bottom. Okay, so moving on, all right, we've got our French lacing at the top, and now we're wanting to move on to our fishtail technique. Fishtail. All right, and what we want to remember about the fishtail is that we're going to use our pointer fingers. All right, so we're going to use our pointer fingers, and we're just going to continue on the outside. The pointer fingers, here's my pointer fingers. Okay, so it's coming from the outside of the braid, that little bit of hair that we picked up with our pointer fingers, over to the other side, over to the other side. Still using just a 2-strand braid, okay? Pointer fingers, just take a little bit from the outside and bring it over. Take a little bit from the outside and bring it over. And you know what they say, depending on how tight your braid is, you can just see how tense you are. But if you're wanting to use your braid for a texture technique, and you're going to just use it and pull it out, like this really isn't even about this braid. It's about the outcome of the final result. You want to keep it loose so that you have some play with your manipulation as you begin to create a texture. All right, so we're just doing it. Remember, hot tips on this would be outside finger to the other side, always working in 2 strands, feeding a little bit from the outside of one strand over to the other. You're seeing this braid everywhere. It can be put all over the head. You can do several of them. But incorporating it with the French lacing technique is going to give you something totally different. And it's going to help make those long hair wedding styles that you're seeing all over the place in magazines and on Pinterest. It's going to make those quick and beautiful, and also it's going to give you a strong foundation. You don't have to stick a bunch of pins in to create this type of texture. So we're at the end, and we're just going to take and put an elastic in. Now before we move on, let's just recap slowly about what's going on, what we need to remember when we're talking about fishtail technique. Okay, so we're going to use 2 sections. And we're going to use our pointer fingers. Perfect. Okay, so we're always going to use our pointer fingers, and we're going to work from the outside of one strand and move it to the other side, outside, move it over, outside, move it over. Now, where does it go from here? This is where we begin to pull our braid apart. All right, just nicely pulling this apart. And I'm going to take a middle section of the hair. I know, you're hearing my guard dog. He's protecting me. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're gonna start pushing the hair up slightly. Okay, pulling it apart some more. And pushing it up. You're gonna have to be my mirror. Okay, as we get it up, I'm just gonna stick a pin in. Now, hot tip on pins, bobby pins, everybody, well, you know, wants to stick them in their mouth and pull them apart, stick them in their finger, pull them apart. But you get the most control but just using it put together, because now you haven't stretched it out, right? So just kind of feed it in, grab the hair we want, and pin it in. We've done that triangle section so that we can cover that parting up pretty easily. Right now I'm just throwing pins on the floor. Okay, so let's grab another pin, and we're just going to start really shaping this as to what we want to see. All right. Now, you know I've got to look at her myself, and I must say she's looking mighty nice. All right. So this is our final technique, and here is the benchmark that we did before. Again, you can't see it really closely because we're dealing with dark hair, but what you do get is a nice silhouette and a very trendy look that you can use in a lot of different situations. So, braiding is great therapy. I suggest, remember that you have to do it over and over to really retain it. But once you have it, you don't forget it. Best way to retain stuff is at least teach it 3 times to someone else and just pass it forward, all right? So next time I see you, we'll talk about rope braiding with shoestrings and how we can create some really great wedding styles using braids, curls, placement, and of course the difference on whether we should use it on dark-haired guests or light-haired guests. Thank you so much for your time. I've had a great time myself, and happy braiding.